Here we go.
Yay.
Aloha.
Hello.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Psychic Maui Live. Today, joining me is my very special guest, Gerald from the Hermit Mage.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited about this conversation.
Me
I've
too.
been, I've been looking forward to it ever since we kind of connected psychically
Oh,
during a live chat.
yeah. Yeah. I would. Yeah. Okay. you explain that because I just sort of went. You were doing something, and I sort of went. Oh, can I add this? May I add this? May I add this? And was like, okay. So
And once Gerald was adding to our conversation, all of a sudden I just felt this huge expansion of awareness on my part, and I felt a connection to wherever wherever you were, Gerald, whatever you were thinking, um, your sources. I could feel a connection to all of it, and I do remember kind of sitting there on screen going, and then it occurred to me that it would be a really good idea to have this live chat.
well, thank you. Yeah.
Cool. And
Woo.
let's take a moment to say hi to everyone. Aloha, Ginger Faye. Aloha, Sage Advice. Um, and whoops. And everybody knows my mod skills, and I don't even think I got a moderator. And Jamie Kelly is here. Aloha, and Amber is here too. And Jamie Kelly, I know specifically. I tried to make you a moderator, to no avail. But I think we're going to be good today. I don't think it's going to be that busy. And Luna is here. Kristen Louise is here. Um, let's see if I have forgotten anybody or if there's somebody new. Selkie came in. Aloha.
Ginger
Um,
is here.
yep, Ginger, she's way up at the tippy top.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Aloha, everyone, and thanks for joining. And when Gerald and I had a conversation about setting up our chat, um, I posed the question to Gerald with the connection that I had felt. Do you consider yourself a channel?
And my answer was, I don't know. This is something that I do, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what a channel is, but I guess I am.
Yeah,
Sorry, Betsy. I'm just. I don't know. What do you call it?
no, that's perfectly all right. Labels are just that. As a lot of you folks know, I consider myself a medium and a channel. And people ask me all the time, who do you channel? And I have the same answer. They've always told me to name me is to limit me. So they refuse a
Right.
label.
Okay.
So, um, and along that vein, we talked about trusting the message. And
Mm.
that's how we came up with our theme today. Because, Gerald, how long have you been doing public readings for folks?
I've been doing public readings for people 7, 8 years, but I have been doing tarot for upwards of 25.
There you go. There
So
you go. And did you always get intuitive nudges on these, or was that something that developed over time?
I have always gotten intuitive nudges as I've looked at cards. My friend Trixie gave me the first deck that I had, the Inner Child deck, because she couldn't read with it, and she held up a card and she says, "Well, yeah, what does this mean?" And I looked at it and I said, "Well, it means this, 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 and this." And she opened up the book and she's like, "Huh, read this one," and it's like this, and this. And so I think over the years, um, tarot is a great way to allow me to connect to divinity in all its forms. And a lot of times when I'm reading for people, I'll get something that is, say this, add this, don't forget about this. And it's probably in the last 5 years or so where I've been sensing people around me when I'm reading.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Nice.
and that varies depending upon who I'm reading, who
Right.
I'm reading for, um, and a lot of times it comes to just working to clear my mind, get out of the way, so that just the conversation flows like just friends having a conversation. So
Yeah. And do you remember what it was like when you first experienced these nudges? And was it only when you were using the cards, or do you get random nudges to contact people?
I always get random nudges. I used to be a supervisor, and it was very helpful for me because I would get an intuitive flash that said, you might want to do this, or it's important to check in with this person to see how they're doing. And my timing was really good. It was really on point for people. So,
Let me check in here. Hang on, Jamie said something that we're going to pop up here. The Hermit Mage. You can be quite insistent at times too.
yes, I
Yeah.
can. But it's important, I think, for me, for going back to trusting the message, it's also trusting that I articulate for someone. I'm looking, I have some additional information on that if you want it. And I've actually had people say, no, I don't want it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a permission that's really important for that. And so, and if that happens, and what I'm hearing or who I'm sensing is persistent, it's they said no, and you need to respect that.
That's cool. That's cool. Typically, so I will get things. Hang on one sec. I think I missed Sadana coming in.
Hello.
So let's say hello, hi. I get nudges for downloads for people. And I will say at that time that there's an opportunity for you to receive a download for a this, that, what have you. If would you like to receive that? So yes, I do get that too.
So
Uh,
is that a download, as in you're getting the message that there's an opportunity for a download for that individual?
mm-hmm. Yeah, that their spiritual team wants to pass on some kind of an upgrade to them, or some kind of is it an upgrade? Is it a direction? It's a focus. Um, and I apologize if you guys can hear the weed eater going on in the background. As soon as I started up, the neighbors started up too, of course. So, but the yards are small here, so it should be gone quickly. But yeah, it's some kind of a energetic process that will deepen wherever their intention is, or where the guides think they're supposed to go. Sometimes I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm not sure. So I do always ask if people want to receive that. But I don't typically ask them if they want information, because I'd like to ask people for questions a lot, and the guides they'll be on a roll and they'll stop me. Sometimes it's almost like mid thought and say, "Question? You have a question?" And the people say, "No, I don't." Yes, you do, and they'll call them out on it. So usually, I guess that maybe resolves it. That I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So when you get nudges to give information, and you ask people if they'd like to receive it, is this something within a spread that you're doing for someone?
A lot of times, yes, because that is the environment that's created. I try when I'm reading for people to create that sacred space and to hold that space. And I genuinely try to connect with people because it's like, okay, what do you want? What do you want to know? And I remember when I first started reading for people, I would ask, do I have your permission to do this reading? I mean, that was a significant portion of it because I didn't want anybody to feel like I was overstepping my bounds. And a lot of times it is in the situation of the reading. And I don't know about you, but your team, there's when you get a message, it's going to come through if the person is sitting there and willing to sit with you, but it may not be the answer to their question, but it's what they need to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, let me pop up a comment here. Sadhana says, just finished a reading full of amazing downloads, including gestures that made the querent smile big.
Oh.
That's fun. Yeah, gestures are great because, yeah, especially if you're channeling a loved one. Whew. And Kristen says, multiple people individually affirm Betsy's Fade download for me, including Sadhana and a reading. Okay, that's cool. Thanks for the feedback. It's always great to hear that. Ginger Faye, I always ask for permission for our guides to connect. Yes, absolutely. You got that.
I've not actually consciously asked. I mean, does she mean like the guides to connect with me through me to the other person? Or because I've not actually done that. I sort of just they sort of show up and I go hi, and I
So
don't know. Maybe I'm very open to it, but I've had some really aggressive ones trying to come through, but I own my space, and I'm inviting you. And if you don't behave, then no, you're not welcome here, and then I withdraw all of my attention and my energy from that person or whatever who's trying to speak with me. It's just like, no, this is an exchange. And okay, let me ask you this, Betsy, because
okay.
trusting the message. When you're getting used to this and working with it, do you sometimes get I sometimes feel like I get tested, or they're checking me out to make sure that I'm going to deliver the proper message, and not filter it through me.
Yeah, I went through a process. I did it for the most part. My biggest challenge was within myself, and I worked through that process with automatic writing.
Okay.
How did I know where this information was coming from? And as I tell people all the time, to however you clear your space and prepare yourself to pose your question, or to open the door of what do I need, if anything, what do I need to know right now? And no matter what you hear, write it down. Sweet potato, squirrel, nutkin, brake pads, laundry detergent, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because this is you demonstrating willingness to do your part. Because I believe as a medium, I am in service to beings that are infinitely more gifted than myself. That my gift is just to be a part of their process because it's them connecting with the people they need to speak with. And I am just an instrument and they do all the choosing. They to me, they decide who comes to see me, who connects with me, who discovers whatever.
Okay. They're your gatekeepers.
I'm like a tool for them.
Okay. Yes.
That's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the testing was for myself. How do I know I'm not making it up? Well, and they do make me do this in the group. I can't tell you, honest to goodness, how many times I will do the grounding and clearing prayer in I was doing monthly groups at a wellness center here before COVID. But how many times get everybody all set up and who's in my head? Squirrel Nutkin. Imagine how delighted I am to say, I have Squirrel Nutkin here. Anybody who claims Squirrel Nutkin?
Right.
And somehow or other it ends up making sense down the road. But I'm always, absolutely delighted when Squirrel Nutkin shows up because I gotta say it. I like it a lot better when they give me something like a fox or a bear or something. It's that's that's a little more socially acceptable than Squirrel Nutkin. Let me see here. Let me take a break here. My invocation is more for the querent. I ask the messages to be in the highest, greatest good and that no harm be done. I already know this and more is the case. Yeah, I do the same. I pay respects to my guides, acknowledge that they're always with me, not just at this time. Banish dark, only work with light. My phrase is those in the beauty way. I like the Native American term about beings that are in the beauty way. And yeah, there's stuff that goes on before I tap in for sure. And Gerald, you strike me as a guy. Wait, hang on. Ginger says, I will feel the querent's guides before I start the reading, but still ask the querent permission for communication between the guides. Excellent. Gerald, you strike me as the person in our chat beforehand that you have a practice of your own, that you, like you said, you're in command of your space. And this is something that you do for yourself on a regular basis, yes?
Yes. Yes.
So I don't see you having too much trouble with uninvited guests coming in.
Okay, thank you. What's interesting is because you have a team that you work with. I don't necessarily have a team per se. It's all about the querent and what they're needing. And those are the ones that show up for me. So in an evening of doing tarot for a group of people, for individuals, I can get dead people, dead relatives. I can get barons from Centurion religion. I can get angels. I sometimes get fae that show up. That's hilarious. That just makes it makes me chuckle. But and I don't get a whole lot of animals, but I also get some what people would say darker energies, and I would just simply say they're misunderstood. they have a purpose, and but yeah. Oh, does that make sense? I mean, that makes
That
sense.
makes a lot of sense. I call it, I say my team because I can't, I don't know what else to say. When people ask me who I channel, I channel pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
Anything. I have learned that there's no limits as to what can you can connect with. Um, Living on Earth in a physical body, or element, or an energy, or a tree, or loved ones on the other side, um, angels, gods and goddesses, and yeah, and
Yeah.
so
I
I call it the team because I don't think everybody gets everything. As so, sometimes people come in and they have like a family member or a couple of guys. It's too confusing for me to attempt to describe it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the stuff that I've learned that has really helped me is when I feel myself getting connected, and that's how I say I get really connected. And a lot of times I will say some of what, I mean, this doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm just going to say it. And then I just say it. So
Here's a question: why do the Fae make you chuckle?
why did the Fae make me chuckle? They're I think they like to toy with me, and they like to lighten me up a bit, because when this happens I can get really serious and very intense, and sometimes when I get out of the way enough, I and I'm trying to communicate a message that is from the cards or from deity or whomever. One of my tells is that I'm pointing at someone. I'm like going, do this. You need, pay attention to this. And sometimes I will become aware of my body, and I am doing this, and I'm like going, oh, did you? Don't know what I just said, but that's important, because if I'm pointing at you,
Yeah, that's something to remember.
yeah, it's something to remember. But that idea of I think, why do the Fae make me chuckle? It's usually because the people who they're coming to, they want me to speak to, need to lighten up. They're taking themselves far too seriously. But there's all sorts of variants of Fae, which I don't understand. I don't need to understand it, but because some of them are very serious, but other ones, so.
Yeah. Ginger Faye and I are actually going to be doing a live on Thursday. I'm going to put it up on my Facebook. It's already on YouTube, but I can't wait. We're going to be doing more talking about this, but I'm kind of, when it comes to the Fae, I'm probably the person that all the Facebook groups would be horrified at my willingness to pretty much do anything. Everybody tells you to be careful around the Fae. Don't eat or drink anything. Don't ask them for favors. Don't get indebted. And I'm like, whatever they want with me, I'm good. Give me all the nectar I can chug. I mean,
Yeah. Wow.
go to a fairy revel and be gone for 100 years and think you're there overnight and come back out. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I want to be there. Where's the door? Here's my name tag. Send me in. Yeah. I guess live and learn, huh?
Yeah. And I know for me, forgive me if I'm like sort of staring up into space. I'm sort of getting connected now. But it's a lot of times when I am doing readings for people and I start to feel connected, because my big thing is I have to get myself out of the way and just trust that what's coming through needs to come through for the person that I'm reading for. And I've learned how to do that better. Living on the edge, Betsy. Yes, yes. But so if for me, a lot of times when something comes into my awareness, there's a greeting process, and there is a let's show each other a certain level of respect.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they're not speaking a language that I understand.
Yeah,
So I
there's
think
that.
yeah, and I think I said this to you in our chat. Is like, and sometimes I have to say, okay, I need this in a language that I can communicate to this person.
Mm,
So, and the first few minutes of it is bumpy, just like anytime you're communicating with somebody who has a different accent than you.
mm, mhm.
So it's fun.
Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Where did I go? Oh, Luna says she's got to go. Bye, Luna. Thanks for popping in.
Bye, Luna.
Um, Amber said, I also look up when I get connected. Yeah, I do that too. I go this way. I'm up here a lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
and
yeah. I'm up here a lot. I'm looking up to the right. And a lot of times the sense that I have for people, for someone coming up near me, it's usually over my left shoulder,
mm,
which is sort of where personally, that's where I have it programmed. That's where I am allowing myself to be more receptive.
I look up to my right, but if I'm getting prodded because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, it's usually they poke me on the back of my left shoulder.
Mm.
It's like, gah, 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 gah. Yeah. And that is so how do you trust the message? How do you know you're supposed to say it? Well, when you're sitting still and all of a sudden you start going like this
Yeah.
across the table. Okay, it's time to say it already.
And
So
yeah.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, I'm thinking back to times that I've done readings, and I'm better at it now to where I can allow that message to flow through and still be present. So I haven't left the room, so to speak. I'm actually sitting next to myself, and that intuitive information is coming through. Um, but other times it's, oh, hi. But other times it's really, huh. Okay, I have to retract something that I said. I'm sort of told to say it.
Uh-oh. To
I'm
clarify.
open to I will get intuitive flashes or people coming in lots of directions. And it comes from what the person needs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't like to limit myself, so I don't know, it's where I don't call myself a medium or a psychic, or a channel. I love the term oracle. I think that's a great term because that's just about anything.
Yeah, that
So
is a great term.
yeah, I like that, but it's really it's fun to have. Oh, I feel like I'm talking too much now. I'm hearing all this jabber. Say this, say that, say this, say that, say that, say that.
That's
Thanks,
what
Jared.
happens, right?
Yeah.
So Gerald, tell me this. What happens if you receive information that whoever wants for you to share, and for some reason or other you don't? Whether you
Lavender
stop.
Moon, Lavender Moon just posted. Gerald, I just asked that question into the air and you answered. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's great. So what happens if you receive information and you don't pass it on?
I can't not pass it on. I don't think I have never not passed on information. I have. Oh, I'm getting. I'm. Yeah. I'm. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting the tingles. Um, what I have done is I have negotiated with the message giver on how much how much of that message the receiver can hear.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's a heavy negotiation. Sometimes it's really hard, and because they're insistent, they want this to go through now.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to be respectful of the querent, because nobody wants horrible information provided to them when they are not in a place to handle it.
Yeah, it feels suffocating when I don't pass it on.
I will also not be able to finish the reading until enough of that message gets through to the person.
Yeah, I get it, because something will come through sometimes and I will feel moved to not speak it, even though I know it's important, because I can feel how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason or other, the lips aren't moving. Even if I'm talking, it's not coming out. And so I negotiate and say, I understand that this is important. I am going to wait for now. Please bring it up at a better time. Or if this is something that truly needs to be heard today, can you readdress it before we come to an end? Because I kind of figure that if it's really important, it's going to come to me. And that goes with a lot of things in my life, that I don't worry about, am I going to forget to do something important very much? So, and it could be kind of a chicken and egg thing with readings, how that's worked out, that if it's something important, and I put it on hold, that it'll come back. And sometimes it is reframed in a little, in something that is a little bit gentler, or a more easily understood message.
Do you remember all of the readings do you remember, if you're reading for someone, you're being the medium for them, you're working for them, do you remember what topics you've talked about?
Some, not everything.
Okay.
I strive to not remember anything. That would be great. I would love it if I didn't remember anything, because then I would feel like there's less, I'm coloring less, because if and it happens enough that I am in a session with someone and the guides have set it up because we both need to hear the information. And so when it's really closely aligned for me, I have a hard time putting my brain out of the picture, because it'll just keep coming and coming. What I really like is when I'm doing things in a group setting and stuff is coming through willy-nilly and I don't remember. I remember almost none of it, or maybe 15% or 20%. It would be great if it was always a 20%er. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think, I keep going back to that idea of trusting the message. And I'm a very trusting person. My mother raised me. My mother was in that the tarot numerology from the Mary Kay Greer. I can't remember but tarot for yourself. She taught my mother. She was a judgment high priestess, and I am a moon hermit. So, mom was perfect for me in, like high priestesses, they always know more than what they're letting on. And as a child who is a moon hermit, it's a wonderful way to allow somebody to go, well, what about that? What about that? What about that? So that's my favorite book. I love that book. So
Jamie has a question about your pendant. Is that a smoky quartz?
No, this is it's Bloodwood, and Bloodwood. I have been writing for a whole bunch of days in a row, and I've created a story and a character and situation, and this character has an experience where his first teacher does some divination for him, and he has to learn about Bloodwood. It's a stream of conscious writing. I have no idea. I had no idea what Bloodwood was when I started writing it, but I wrote Bloodwood, so I did some investigation. Lo and behold, Bloodwood exists, and so it's on my list of things to do. Thank you, Sheila.
We all love your glasses.
So,
Yes. And so, yeah, so guys, if anybody has a question related to trusting the message, go ahead and pop it in on the chat. We both have decks handy nearby, but today we're really kind of talking about how we get to that place where we really are trusting our intuitive impressions that we're getting. So if you have any questions about that, give us a shout. Kristen has something here. Let's see what we've got. She's a justice and high priestess per Greer's way of doing the numerology. With another person's numerology, I'm judgment high priestess. I don't know that one.
It's a great way of looking at the birth numerology and relating it to the major arcana in the tarot.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
And so there's the lower the number is that you can reduce it. Like I'm an 18-9, so 18 is the moon and the 9 is the hermit. The 9 is my soul lesson. The hermit, yes, you got it. That's your soul card. But then if you have another number, which is the moon, that's the life lesson.
Funny story. Those are my cards for the year.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe we should do some more stuff, but maybe I can help you with that. But
that'd be cool.
I think for me, I'm really as a moon hermit, I'm very good at compartmentalizing. I can separate things into different boxes. If you want to tell somebody a secret, tell a moon hermit, because we ain't going to tell anybody.
Well, see, I'm the opposite. I tell all my friends I'm terrible at keeping secrets. Oh. So I think I must have some coyote in me. I'm howling off to.
Yeah. I'm terrible. No, but I'm really good at keeping secrets, because a lot of times, because I will actually put it in a box and then store it, and then I can access it later if I need to, which is a lot of times what happens when I do readings for people. And that was part of a developing of trusting the message, is when I realized I didn't have to remember all of the information I told somebody, because it would be available to me. And when I have a bag of decks that I take with me and supplies when I read for people, and one of the things that I have in there is, well, I have a bunch of pieces of paper and writing utensils. And if somebody sits down without something to write with, my question is, do you want a pen or a pencil to write down notes, because you want to take notes?
Always.
And it's interesting is because sometimes I will. No, hi, Jen. Sometimes the message that's really important for the person to hear, they're not taking notes with.
Right.
And I've actually said, you need to write that down. Oh no, I'll remember it. No, you need to write that down.
I keep a pencil and a piece of paper beside me for readings. I tell people to record it on their phone, and I will also tell people that I recommend they bring a journal with them. So let's take a peek at Kristen's question. How do you shift from trusting the messages that are for yourself to trusting the message for someone else. When you are afraid of saying something wrong, you just got to say it.
You do have to say it, but you also have to say it and then let it sit there, and then be open to feedback about it. Because I think it was a turning point for me was I needed to get rid of the, well, this may be wrong, or I'm not sure, blah, all of those things that devalue what I'm saying, and just say it and then actually pause and step back, because then that also gives the querent an opportunity to sit with it, but it also gives me an opportunity to hear what I said and then verify that that's the correct thing.
I will say, if I'm in the place where I'm going to say something that sounds really off the wall, I will say it and then say, if that makes any sense to you. And if they say no, I will say, well, you know what? Let's just leave this there for now and move on. And it might make sense later on. And things end up happening like further into the session, there's a link to that communication, or people will get home and say, oh my God, you're not going to believe it, but, and everything comes. So, saying something wrong, and as hard as it is for this part of the mind to accept, I am of the opinion that there's no such thing as saying something wrong.
I also think it's important for me, it was important to go, is to not put myself down if something was wrong, the person didn't agree with it, or they didn't see it. It's like, okay, and then just move on.
Yeah. And I've been in sessions when I am getting information, and it used to take me a little bit longer to understand that I was getting the information exactly backwards for a reason. But now I know when I'm giving the information, I try not to look at the person, because I know they're going to tell me I'm dead wrong, that it's the exact opposite. So I'll kind of look off to a different direction or down, or not meet their gaze. And when the message is finished, I say, now I'm waiting for you to tell me that it's exactly the opposite. Because sometimes, don't ask me why, the message comes backwards for a reason. Maybe it's so they remember what their own story and they can share it. I don't know. Or maybe the impact is profound enough that it's something they'll remember. But it's a thing. It's a thing with me. So I just go, oh, well, I'm a little heyoka. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
But see, that's an important thing to for me. When I'm not sure about something, I articulate it and I try to be clear. It's like, okay, this does not make any sense to me, but there you go. And then it's, I think as a reader or an oracle, as there you go, Amber, I said it, oracle. It's important for me to put it out there and then let it trickle in, because when you think about, because a lot of times with a reading with me, it's like a thunderstorm. It's a gushing of information, and I have to sort of dull it out. I dull it out, and it is a gift, and that's another thing. Okay, now I'm getting all excited. Something I think this is for, maybe, I don't know if this is an exercise or practice, but I would say something that is helpful, and Betsy, you're smiling because you probably know what I'm going to say, is you need to honor what you're doing for what you're doing. It isn't good and it's not bad. It just is a thing. It just is. So I think for me, when I made the point of is like, I'm just going to say this. I'm not giving any value judgment to it, because if I say it, then I don't have to try to remember it. So
sage advice I don't think I put it in here in the description, but I have an ebook on Kindle called You Are Gifted by Betsy Palmer Medium. And it is exactly my workshop on deepening your intuitive abilities. So I can double back and put the link in the description. Or if you go to Kindle and just search my name, it'll come up. Betsy Palmer Medium or Medium Betsy Palmer, something along those lines. It'll come up. It's about 20 pages, and it is exactly the curriculum that I use for the workshop that I teach on this. There's a lot of things. There's another really great book, and I shouldn't probably say it out loud, but I will, called Opening to Channel. It is ancient. It's got to be at least 30 years old, but I still have it on my Kindle. Opening to Channel. It is what got me going on that when trance channeling was all the rage. I started reading that book, and I've read it a couple of times. I even checked it out of the library once, and then I remembered I had it on Kindle, so I've read it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me see. Sage said something else here. Seems to be an all or nothing thing for me. Strictly just a tarot or messages the entire reading. Well, that's kind of cool.
Do you want it to be different, Sage? Sage advice, tarot. I don't. I understand that because there are some times when I get really connected very quickly, and then there's other times where it's a tarot card reading, and it's just me and the person I'm reading for, which is a beautiful experience. But then sometimes it's a tarot card reading or a reading between me, the querent, and a whole lot of others. I'll be honest with you. I can do both. I really like it when a whole lot of others show up. It's fun. It's fun to me. It's actually a gift. It's a privilege and it's an honor that I have been allowed to speak through or to speak on their behalf or to convey their information. And when that's done, I feel really energized. It's wonderful. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more with you on that one, Gerald. I think that for me is the thing that keeps me really interested in doing session work with people, is because tapping into that higher consciousness, I mean, those beings are from love. And I feel like when I open to those beings, the connection part of it is that I am feeling their essence. So I tell people that I'm marinating in love when I'm in that space. That there an energetic expense? Yeah. Sometimes I'm tired, sometimes I'm not. But when I'm in the zone, I always feel like I'm just gracefully swimming through this big bowl of love soup. And that's the best way I could describe it. It just feels great.
Well,
and the other people feel it too. When I had a reading with 2 return clients the other day that I adored them, and just doing the grounding and clearing ceremony, we were all tearful just in that, because we all connected to that divine spot really quickly, and it's just such a lovely place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sage Advice Sage Advice Tarot said it would be nice to have all consistently, I think.
Okay, I'm behind. It would be all night. Yeah, but that's not even. It's all or nothing. And let me go down here and see. Yeah, it would be nice to have all consistency.
A little consistency. I understand that. I am consistent with it. It means that I'm consistent with it in the sense that I'm open to whatever needs to happen. So yes, Betsy, that was beautiful.
I'm going to come back up here to Jen's. You're open to however, I think we should talk about, I'm trying to sort it out in my head. That is something that I would like to talk to you, Sage, about. So shoot me a messenger message and let's have a conversation about it. There are always going to be the judgmental people out there who, even if you got 10% right, they'll still say you're wrong. Yeah, I've done readings when I was in Sedona. An elderly gentleman came in and his daughter had 3 questions. I answered the 3 questions and he denied any of it made any sense. And at the end of the reading, he said, let me tell you what I know. And he listed the 3 things I just said. Well, I don't know why you didn't know that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I think, I'm looking at some notes that I had taken. I think so for me in trusting the message, tarot is a great gateway. It's a great doorway for me to connect. It just sort of gets it. It's what I need. It's like when I knit, I can just knit. I don't have to think about it, and the tarot will help me do that. So I'm open to experiencing that divinity speaking to me and through me and for me. Because yes, there have been some times, and you probably had this, Betsy, too, where I've said things to somebody, and I'm like going, "Oh, that last bit is for me. It's not for you." It's like, they're like,
Yeah.
it's sort of like, oh, blah 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 blah, and here you go, and oh, and by the way, I needed to hear that too, so thank you for letting me be here for that. Got it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like I said, when guides send me somebody working on the exact same thing as me, whew, whew, yeah. Oh, hi, Julianne Victoria. Thanks for popping in. I never used cards ever, 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 ever in my life until I went to Sedona. And then I found that I had to have them. And so I had someone, you guys have all seen my little deck here of my chakra cards. Luckily, in the place I was working, there was a woman who was a graphic artist. And she had already created these images digitally. And she showed them to me. And I said, wow, those are beautiful. That would make a great deck of cards. Can you laminate them for me? Because I already had been working for about 10 years with colors. The guides would just give me a color. If I got a color, then I knew what chakra I was dealing with. And then that was all I needed for a start. So the people that really were closed, I had them shuffle that deck and pull their own card. So I had no influence in it. And then I would take off from there. There was something interesting, though, down here that Kristen popped in. What do you say to someone who accuses you of making it up? I'm just going to not read any more because I'm going to say, when I get that person, I will say, you know something? I really appreciate you coming, but I feel like that I don't have anything of value to give you at this time. Or, hey, I'm sitting here and I'm not invited. I am uninvited to share this with you.
mm-hmm.
Please consider whatever information that we've shared together as my gift to you. You have the recording on your phone. Perhaps down the road, you might hear something in it that you might find some value in.
I think for me is when somebody accuses me of making it up, my first question is what do you mean? Because when I hear something like that, it feels more about them rather than me.
Sure.
Because, I mean, for me, I'm all about celebrating people's individuality and their own connection to spirituality and divinity. I love to celebrate that. I love watching on YouTube and people discuss and share things that they're experiencing. Do they all work for me? Absolutely not. Do I believe everything that they say for them? Absolutely. Does it work for me? No, but there's room for everybody. So
if I'm with someone who's feels aggressive or hostile or confrontational, I don't want their money. I don't want my space tainted. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
I've actually, I don't want that. Yeah, I had somebody who actually said who his wife gave me money to read for him, and he sat down and she, left, I made her leave the room because she wanted to be here. And I looked at him, I said, "You don't want to be here, do you?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "That's okay." So yeah, I'll tell you what,
I've had the exact same thing happen. One part of the couple we had a great experience. They sent their significant other who sat down, and I just was like, I am uninvited, and that's okay.
And I think, and let's go back to that idea of trusting the message. I think it's part experience, isn't it? It's like, and it's understanding our boundaries. How am I willing to interact, and what do I need to set?
This one, I can answer this question for myself pretty easily. Every one of us, every morning, we open our eyes, we take a breath, we realize we're still alive on Earth, and we prepare ourselves to step out into the world to validate the things that we believe. Nobody gets up in the morning and goes out in the world and says, "I am prepared to shake my belief system to the core today." So people that think it's all bullshit, they come to you because they don't want to shake their belief system. And that's okay, but it doesn't mean I got to participate.
Right. And yeah, I think, so going back to that idea of trusting the message, Betsy, it was a hard lesson for me to learn I have to really know myself and what I need and what works for me and what feels true and what is true for me is what's true for me. I don't need to justify it to anybody else.
Right. Or explain it or defend it.
Right. And the best way for me not to explain it or to coping with that is to simply not explain it and not justify it. It's like, okay, there we go.
I say, it's obviously just not the right time for you to hear this information, but I thank you for coming, and the information is my gift to you because I want people to feel like they found something of value in their time with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Amber says it's happened to her once. It's happened a couple of times, not a whole lot. Usually it's the people that come in and say there's no way I can talk to their relatives on the other side, or it's absolutely not possible. You're just Googling people ahead of time or whatever they think. They're usually the ones that cry the hardest.
Yeah.
And it's not me doing it. People come for these experiences because it's important for them. It's important for them. It's not me trying to prove myself. It's just.
But that's an important thing to learn, because I know early on, and sometimes in my life, Betsy, I will let my feeling of value be based upon someone's reaction to me. And that's part of the human experience.
Absolutely.
So I've worked hard at that, and I'm open to being not correct or to not as accurate. But so long as I try to always listen and learn a little bit of something. But that's not always easy.
And there's times when something has fallen flat, like really flopped hard, and moving on through the session, and then time allowed, I will check back in with the guides and say, I just want to kind of back up and just kind of review this. Can can you clarify this? Is there anything else you can add to this that might be helpful? Or I will even ask the client, you know, do you want to try and revisit this and see if this is going to make sense? Or are you okay with it just being what it is? Communication is helpful on that, because that helps you, for me, that helped me decrease my anxiety level and get past that fear of being wrong.
Right. I think one thing that also helped to build my confidence and to trust the message is when the guides would be saying something to me, or whomever or whatever, and it may be the caveat, I don't know why I'm saying this, but such and such.
Mm-hmm.
And I can watch that person go, okay, I know exactly who that is. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so.
Jen says, and this is a great thing to bring up, Jen, doing it for free. Despite strong beliefs that all should be paid for their time. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes you hear people say, if it's a gift of service, then why are you charging for it? Yeah.
But I learned early on, and that people don't value something unless there has been some sort of an exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And that exchange could be money, it could be service, it could be other things. And there have been times when I have been in a situation to where I know somebody needs a reading, and they don't have as much money to pay. And I will say, so what could you afford to pay? And they're like going, well, you know, I have this much cash. And I said, okay, how about half of that? And they're like, what? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that half of what you have is more valuable to you than that money from the other person who's more affluent. And
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you, when I am open to that, it's great. But I agree with Jen. There needs to be some exchange so that
Mm-hmm.
there's value to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that awesome saying, perceived value, right? Um, and you know, I see it in the live chats a lot when we're doing card slinging live readings and people are popping in, you know, really brief questions. What about this? What about this? What about this? And what you'll notice is that same person is room hopping, asking the same question.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm in complete agreement with you, Gerald. There needs to be that exchange. Um, for me, it was a process to walk through about feeling like I deserve to be well paid for that. Um, I'm with you, Gerald. If someone is at a different budget, I have wiggle room, because it's happened for me a lot in my life when I didn't have much of a budget and people were really generous with their time or services or gifts with me. So I feel like that's the way the world works. The guides will bring me who they want to bring me. It's not up for me to say that. So if someone steps up to me in need, I know the guides will bring in others to compensate and balance it all out.
Yeah. And Jen says that, you know, I'm not talking about close friends, etc. You know,
Sure.
close friends, they add value to my life in many ways, and me doing a reading for them is just a small way for me to say thank you.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and usually at that same time, I'm getting the charge I needed.
Absolutely.
So,
And there's that too.
yeah.
There is that.
Yeah. Because a lot of times, I mean, I have done, um, yeah. So I get creative, and sometimes, sometimes, and I realize this now that I'm saying it, I'm making the offers because those are the ones that are whispering me that offer, and I'm just saying it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like going, you know, yeah, I can do that. And then lo and behold, it's like, oh, and I'm just using this as an example, is like, well, could you help me carry this stuff out to my car? And then in that conversation, lo and behold, I have said something that this person's grandmother always used to say to them. And I'm like, going, okay, thank you. That I needed to know who that was. Let's have a conversation.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
and I got help carrying stuff out to my car. I mean, so.
Yeah. I no coincidences. So, and one thing I am being kind of prompted to mention here is my theory about the rookie year, is when you're just starting out, exchanging or delivering messages for folks, and that your confidence isn't at 1,000%, to know that practice is a part of it, that through repetition. Is it scary the first time you take that risk? It may very well be. But after you have taken that same risk 10 times and you receive feedback 3 or 4 times about very positive reception on the other end, yeah, it's a numbers thing there. It's a percentage thing. You got to put it out there. But eventually, you will get information back that supports what the message is. Things will start clicking. Yeah.
Practice, practice, practice. And I mean, nobody is expected to run a marathon unless they've practiced before. So do a little bit of something and get feedback with it. I know Kristen Louise, Empress Tarot, is taking Sedana's class, the Read With Me class. Practice, 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 because it makes a world of difference. It's made a world of difference for me. You practice new things, and then it gets incorporated, and it feels natural. It feels like it is part of you, and that works. So.
Yeah, it definitely is that stepping out on stage, right? Whether you're a child at your first piano recital, or if you have a budding business in divination, or
Right.
yeah, it's that risk, it's that first step. But we got this, folks. We are all together. We all click as a community for a reason, right? Don't you think, Gerald?
I agree. And there are some people that you were going to click with really quickly, and then some people you don't. And it's okay to move to something different. There's room for everybody, and don't, it's just time to move on. You don't have to send them a message. I'm not watching your channel anymore because of this. Just stop doing it. Don't water a dead plant.
I love that you said there's room for all of us. I believe that so strongly. And I believe in the swing of the pendulum. There's some of us over here, there's some of us over there, but the most of us are in the middle, in the gray area. Right. And there's room for everybody. And the world cannot exist without those polar opposites to you. What the guides told me was, we need them all to maintain our balance. We can't get by without them, but you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Kristen has got something here. It looks like Amber took off. Bye-bye, Amber.
Bye.
Love to you. I am refocusing my tarot reading from personal development to intuitive psychic reading. I definitely need to be patient with myself as I make the transition. How about, and I would go even further, and I would say, I definitely need to be gentle with myself as I make the transition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and that goes for sage advice too. Be gentle with yourself on this, between just this or just that, or trying to figure out how to find that one direction that works the best for you. Be gentle with yourself and let things sort themselves out over time. I mean, what have we got? We got time.
Yeah.
We got lots of time.
I'm trying to think.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, go.
I
Go ahead.
was, I'm thinking back to the idea of trusting the message, and I guess do I trust the message? Sure. Have I figured out a way to do it? I still am working on that. And I get energized when I'm I don't know about for you, Betsy, but when I get really connected, either I'm reading or I'm just chatting with somebody, things just start to, they'll start off slowly, and then they'll just get faster and faster and faster. And there are some times where it's like trying to drink water from a fire hose. And I go, okay, slow down a little bit.
Yeah, it can go either way for me. Sometimes I'll just get a ton of stuff all at once, sometimes crickets. It kind of goes either way, but when it comes in really hot and fast, then I'll get real snarky. I'll look up at them and I'll say, "All right, one of you is talking and you're going to slow it down because you're dealing with human that has to so
Yeah.
you gotta make it be something that I can understand enough to deliver the message, because that's the most important part. But yeah, I'll be looking at them and having an argument.
Yeah.
People seem to like it though, so I'm just going with it.
Well, it's like that time that I told you is when I was in a sacred space, and someone invited anybody who had a message, and I was there as the oracle, so to speak, and boy, it got really crowded in the room. I mean, a lot, and I have learned not to allow people just say, oh, whatever the universe wants to tell me, because we'll be there all night. And I'm looking, okay, well, narrow it down. But yeah, and we talked about that. Would it be helpful for me to share this?
Yes, please.
It got really crowded. I got this sense, and this was the first time I had the sense of lots of different people and beings wanting to communicate, different species, etc. So many of them that I actually had to, in my mind, I had to construct. They were in a sports stadium, grouped by species, and then each species were given the order that you have one person to speak on your behalf, and we need to figure out a way to understand each other, because I don't speak your language very well yet.
I love that. That's just awesome. It's like Noah's Ark, huh?
Yeah, it was very interesting, and it was like, whoa, okay. So that's the last time I've done that, and it's just like going, okay. So
Kristen asks if there's any messages coming through for anyone here. I think that's what the entire show has been for me, that the message is about trusting the message. And hopefully me sharing my story will help others spark some recognition, or be inspired to give it a whirl, or to just go out on a limb, that those of us that want to do it are able to do it.
yeah. Well, I hate to just spout off, people, oh, here's a message for Ginger, here's a message for Sage Advice, here's a message for Jen, here's a message for Kristen Louise. But if you want to hear a quick message, I can do that. But,
Yeah, I mean, if Kristen, if you had a question, why don't you pop it in? Because we were talking about boundaries and permissions. So if someone hasn't asked a personal question on this chat, because we're talking a little bit of a different topic here. So yeah, Kristen, if you had a question, pop it in.
Yeah, but I will go back. I will say, I think anybody who's watching is watching for a reason, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I hopefully we may have provided some support. I mean, it was fun for me. It was fun for me to
Not what I
realize
wanted.
that I wasn't weird. That
Yeah,
other people do this.
right.
So
And thank you, sage advice.
thank you.
Yeah, isn't it great when you know that you're not all on your own on this?
Yes.
It is indeed.
Yes.
That there's a lot of us that are tuned in. There's a lot of us that share these kinds of gifts.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you guys know that's why my book is called You Are Gifted, because people come to all the time and say to me, this is going to sound crazy. I think I'm crazy. You're going to think I'm crazy. And so I ban the word. But yeah, I get busted out a lot. Everybody in the chat will catch me if I say the word crazy, but that's, we're not crazy. We're gifted.
We're gifted, and there are so many different versions of gifts, and there's room for all of them.
They're all necessary because everybody gets the information they need to hear in their own particular way. I think that's why there's so many different paths out there. There's no one right path. I don't think there even is a path. I don't think it's possible to fall off the path. As long as you're trying, as long as you're still putting your pants on one leg at a time, it's an effort, and you're on the path. I hear you shuffling. What'd you get?
Well, I was shuffling just because, but I think this is an important thing. Don't compare yourself to other people. I can't compare myself to you, Betsy, because we're different. And I can only compare myself to where I was yesterday and where I want to be. So that comparison is probably one of the things that really prevents me from trusting the message.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Thank you.
That's really powerful. That is so powerful. I'm getting chicken skin. Because not everybody will tell you that the way that you get it, the way that you receive it, and the way that you share it is perfect. Not everybody will tell you that. There's dogma in this world too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, here's Rochelle popping in.
Ooh, well, hi.
Hi, hello. Thanks for popping by. Yes. And Ginger Faye says, bravo. Yeah. Bravo. That's indeed. That was very well said, Gerald. Very heartwarming.
That means a lot. That is for me validation that when I speak my truth, it benefits others. And that's an important thing also with trusting the message is when I can speak it true, when I speak truth, it may be hard to hear, but the people who need to hear it are going to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me as a human, I am working at trying to articulate when someone says something to me that has an impact, because it could give them affirmation of their skills and their abilities.
Yeah. And you never know when just something even that you say casually or offhand is going to really impact someone else. Right. That it's just that magic moment. Mm-hmm. I've seen it happen so many times. And oftentimes people that never think they're going to get it. I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to hear it. Or I don't know if this is real. When people make that connection and it's so deep, and that you get that heart expanding, and all of a sudden they get it, and there's no doubt that they got it. Ooh, boy. Yeah. To me, that is probably the most powerful moment that I could think of.
Yes. And it's a process. You're always learning. You're growing, aren't you?
Always,
Yeah.
constantly. Yeah.
I like to think I am too, and I try to do that. So, and I try to do it consciously, because when I do things with much more intent and on purpose, then I can benefit from that. I learn from it, even though some of the lessons may be hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I just believe that the support I need will be around. I need to be willing to have that.
Ginger says that she remembers your smoking billet message showed many guides surrounding you.
Well, I thank you. That's nice to know that I have that support around. So.
It feels to me like you've got a pretty wide variety around you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That your core that help you with your foundation and your boundaries are so strong that they've been working with humans for a really long time on Earth.
That's great.
Yeah, but you know who they are already because of your practice. I think you already know who these beings are. And yeah, I'm not gonna ask you to call out names and everything right here, right now, because you know who they are. They're the beings that you've been working with in your foundational practice for a long time. But yeah, ain't nobody messing with them. They're kind of showing me the way to visualize it is, you remember at the Parthenon, the Acropolis. There's the one building that had the Venuses, the goddesses, holding as the pillars, holding up the roof of the building. And that's the way they reveal themselves to me. I don't hear names. I don't see individual images. It's just that they're your pillars of the foundation of what you do. And nobody going to mess with these things.
That's good, because they've been at it for a while, haven't they?
Indeed, they have. They have seen everything that humans, the monkey shines that humans have attempted. They've seen it all across the eons, and you cannot put nothing past them. As a matter of fact, they are laughing. There's somebody's over here like this, like snickering about the hijinks that people think that, oh, I'm the only one ever thought of this, and they're just like, ah ha ha.
Yeah, and I think they've been through a lot, and I think I have as well. So, and we've been through a lot together. So, lots of different lifetimes, I believe. So.
Yeah, and I think you chose them, and they choose you for a reason. That you guys support each other very well. I'm hearing the word clean. You're a clean team. Your intentions are impeccable.
Nice. Good.
And the motivations too. That's important. Intentions and motivations, they are impeccable on that one.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay. Well, Kristen, that was the message after all. Yeah. So we've been on for coming up on 90 minutes. Does anybody have any questions, like a last round? This has been such a great conversation.
Bye, Jamie.
Bye, Jamie. Thank you all, everybody, for joining. And Gerald, this has been a dream to talk about this.
This is wonderful. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. It was an honor to be asked. So again, it's like I'm just Gerald, and that's okay. And being just Gerald is plenty. So.
Yeah, you see me today. Whoops. I am just Betsy today. I left all the fancy stuff off. I'm just Betsy today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's been many times that this question has popped up in the chat, and there's been many times I've tried to address it, on the fly. But this is the first time I think I've devoted this much time on a broadcast to the subject of trusting the message, and I found it tremendously rewarding. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I hope it was helpful because, again, I'm just sort of a guy who's saying things. So
Yeah, I hope you guys found some nuggets in here. You know, you got to love the nugget. Once you get that little nugget, you can't pretend you don't know anymore. So I hope everybody found a little nugget in here, got a little bit of something that was an aha moment. That would be awesome.
yeah. Yeah. And I did pull one card, which was the Queen of Pentacles.
Oh, nice.
And this is from the Textured Tarot. And this just reminds me that, you know, am I the clay or am I the queen? It doesn't matter. It's just because I can be both and all three at the same time. And that union is because some artists would, well, it was Michelangelo who said all he did when he did the sculptures was he released them from the stone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great. Then maybe I'm the Queen of Pentacles, or maybe I'm the clay.
I echo that exactly. I honestly believe I'm the tool for the guides to do their work.
Yep.
Information passes through me. If and when the timing is right, they seize the opportunity for their messages to be delivered.
Yep, you're right. Wow,
Yeah.
this is great. You know, I'll probably end up going, oh, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this.
Pop it in the comments down below, and we can just keep chit-chatting. And yeah, if things come up, please let me know, and we'll have a redo. We'll have a second episode. I would love that. This has been wonderful.
I'm open to that. So this is great. Wow.
Cool.
Yay.
All right, gang. Well, then, I didn't see any more questions come in. If somebody had one, I apologize for my mod skills, but I did not see one.
What's a gin?
I'm sorry?
What's a gin? Ginger said that one looked like a gin when she did that message for me.
Oh, a djinn is a genie. It's a version of a genie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Surrounding. Yeah, I saw the djinn and I wasn't sure if it was a typo, but yeah, a djinn it's a kind of a genie.
Okay.
Cool. Get some wishes. You got some wishes coming your way.
I'll write that down so that I can think about that.
Oh, and Kristen said, yes, that is the Islamic word for genie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet. Cool. All right, then, gang. Everybody, thank you so much for being here with us. This has been a fabulous conversation. It's probably late for a lot of you guys. I've got sunset to look forward to tonight, and I will be carrying you all in my heart with me for that sunset.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerald, for being my guest.
You're welcome.
Do me the honor. So thank you.
All righty.
I'm going to end the broadcast. Gerald, stay on for just a minute.
Of course.
Good night, everybody. A hui ho.
Bye.
And don't forget, Ginger Faye and I will be coming up on Thursday. Excellent. Aloha. Let's see. It's thinking about it. It's